Good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us in the fourth session of the East End Chamber of Commerce's construction series. And today we are going to talk about subcontractor packages. We have a packed full morning with a couple special guests. And most importantly, this series would not be possible without our series sponsor, Cadence Bank, and we are so fortunate to have Solomon, who is Vice President of Small Business Relationships, here with Cadence Bank to tell us a little bit about Cadence and the services that they offer. We're going to
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. This is Solomon Saucedo with Cadence Bank, small business banker, small business relationship manager. I'd like to welcome everybody to the session number 4 of this series. Super excited to be part of East End Chamber activities, presentations, and obviously all of this impacts our community and impacts the businesses where we are trying to reinforce and get going. Cadence Bank is proud to be part of this series of events with the East End Chamber, and we will be more than happy to continue participating moving forward. In the next few moments, we will talk about Cadence Bank services and what tools we have available for you guys as business owners, what can we offer, and obviously the importance is of the impact in the community. So for the moment, just wanted to welcome everybody. Hope everybody is having a good day so far, and I'll turn it back over to you, Julie. Thank you. Julie, are we there?
Yes, we are. Solomon, do you want to, we have our session sponsor, Cadence Bank, and then we also have, our series sponsor, Cadence Bank, and our session sponsor, the Block Group, who's also going to be talking with us. And we're going to allow Solomon some additional time to tell you all about Cadence Bank and their products and services that they offer. And they're a member of the East End Chamber. So Solomon, we have the screen share available to you. If you want to pull up your computer.
Absolutely. All right, can somebody give me a thumbs up, and can you guys see that screen that says Cadence Bank in blue?
We're good, Solomon.
Perfect. Well, this products and services that we're going to discuss today definitely is going to impact of getting you guys ready for today's session, subcontracting packages. It is always crucial to have all of your services ready to go, all of your documentation ready to go for when it comes to subcontracting packages. But it's always fundamental to have your banking ready to go when it's time for you to present your proposal, and also to be ready to go. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of the products and services that most businesses they need to have in their with their bank in order for them to be ready. So I will be talking about a couple of products, which is called small business line of credit. Just a regular line of credit. So this quick decision loan or quick decision line of credit, we call it at Cadence Bank. It is a quick loan under $25,000, whatever you have a small project going on. This line of credit is perfect for you or for your business in order for you to have your business ready to go in case if you get a contract, a deal that you have to move on quickly. This line of credit is ready and we can offer it. We only require 1 year of tax returns. My screen says 2 years, but literally anything under $25,000, we require 1 year of business tax returns, 1 year of personal tax returns, and a personal financial statement. We ask just a couple additional questions when we get those documentations, and typically we get an answer on this small loans or lines of credit within 24, 48 hours max. The intention of this line of credit is to impact businesses quickly. For businesses, they need to have access to cash fast for any projects or anything that you're looking for. The other line of credit that I'm going to talk about, it is a larger line of credit. Anything over 50,000 is getting more, more robust as far as what documentation the bank is going to need. The bank is going to need 2 years of business tax returns, 2 years of personal tax returns, personal financial statement, the purpose of the line of credit, how this loan or this line of credit is going to help your business to grow. And then you can use it for short-term working capital, emergency funding, inventory, account receivables, hire employees. So the intention of this line of credit is when you need something longer and that requires more capital for your business. One of the things that I always like to emphasize is that please do yourself and your business a favor. Don't wait until the time is up on you and you need that business line of credit or that business loan or that piece of equipment. Work ahead of time. Reach out to your bank. Reach out to us, Cadence Bank. My information is going to be posted in the chat. Apply for a loan or apply for a business line of credit when your business does not need it. Do not wait until the very last minute when your business is in need of a working capital or needs funds for inventory or basically just to be ready for the next contract. Work ahead of time. Do not wait until the last minute. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I don't want you to wait until the last minute. You're going to be under pressure on getting the funding for a project. Banks typically take a little longer on lines of credit over 50,000, and things are going to be feel more stressful if you work that line of credit application when your business does not need it. It is always best to apply when the business is ready, and the business is always going to be ready at any given point when the business owner has time. So put some time before you enter into any contracts, when you enter into any businesses that you wanted to do deals with, because that's when it's more effective. Do not wait until the last minute. So if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to Cadence Bank, my information is going to be posted in the chat. Feel free to call me. I'll be glad to talk to you one-on-one, ask any initial questions, and hopefully we can help you out with securing either a loan or business line of credit for your business needs. East Chamber, Julie, thank you so much again for the time today. And I'll turn it back over to you, Julie. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for reiterating that it's so critical to get a line of credit before you need it, especially when you're getting ready to bid. And Deidre with the block companies is going to be talking with us on that. And can everybody see her screen, the block companies logo?
Yes.
Yes. All righty. The Block Companies is our session sponsor for today, and I'd like to turn it over to Deidre at this point. Deidre, are you, and there you go. Are you unmuted? There we go.
There we go. Okay, can everybody hear me now?
Yes, we can. We're good.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Block Companies is proud to be a part of this very important series on getting ready to bid and talking about bidding specifically on government contracts. We are a proud general contractor in the Houston market, and we want you to get to know Block a little better in the next few minutes. I am Deirdre Barrett, and I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and the Director of Marketing for Block. We'll get into who we are, and then we'll give quite a few bidding tips. Next slide, please. We are Block Companies, and we want to reinforce that Houston is the #1 market in Texas in need of affordable housing. And Block Companies builds success in the Houston market through affordable housing, as well as markets throughout the state of Louisiana and the state of Texas and Georgia. We are expanding our footprint, and we really are excited about all of the building that is taking place in the affordable housing area within right here in Houston. So today we're going to cover what we call building blocks, bid selection criteria. You'll get a look at that, bid review process, and bidding challenges. And then we'll close it off with bidding success with the bidding checklist. So next slide. Just a little bit about who we are. We are a multifamily builder. That's a fancy construction way of saying that we build apartments and multiple unit dwellings. And like I said, you're looking at all the properties that we have built. That top left, properties in Fort Worth, moving to the right in Texas and in Louisiana, and then that Standard in the Heights in the bottom left-hand corner. Quite a combination of multi-use, public and private, public-private partnerships, as well as total public projects. Next slide. So we are multifamily. We're also affordable housing. About 95% of our building now is in the affordable housing category. On that top right, you're looking at McKee City Living, which is coming along quite well north of downtown. That is our first DR17 project with the city of Houston. On the left, that is a post-Hurricane Katrina project, St. Bernard, which was actually the revitalization or refurbishing of a church, changing it into a multiple unit dwelling, as well as the bottom left, Contrita Cottages in Louisiana. So quite an array of affordable housing building is in the Block portfolio. Next slide, please. Then we have to underscore that we support minority and small business success. Block Companies has a firm and solid commitment to meeting and in many cases overachieving our compliance goals as it relates to Section 3 businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses. If you're certified through the city of Houston, you are on your way and you have multifamily building experience. You are on your way to working and bidding on, potentially working, but certainly bidding on Block projects. Next slide. So we call our session building blocks when we take our potential subcontractors through the steps in the process of bidding on a Block project. And then we provide, as I said earlier, a checklist. So you want to pull out your iPad or your pen and paper so that you can take some quick notes. And I know we're also providing this presentation afterwards to those that have participated on the call. Next slide. Here's a look at Block's subcontractor form. We ask that anyone, like right now, if you're interested in the future, we're not bidding any projects currently. We just closed out a bid June 8th. So I hope some of you on the call bid on the Temenos project. But for our upcoming bids, go on and get your subcontractor information form in if you haven't done that already and you're not in the Block system. What does that form consist of? You see the bullets there. Background information, your safety certifications, are you certified with the City of Houston? Do you have other certifications, Section 3 certifications that you want to make us aware of? I think we know, most of us on the call know that the certification, minority and women certification requirements to do Houston projects is 34%. So there is an opportunity, certainly, for minority and women-owned businesses, and 10% requirement for Section 3, 10% compliance requirement for Section 3 businesses. So please fill out that Block subcontractor form, information form, and send that to us at info@blockcompanies.com. And included in there should be your certification attached, your certification certificates, your bonding information, and your insurance information, as well as your references. Next slide, please. This slide just underscores again the importance of insurance, achieving insurance success and bonding success. There are specific scopes of work that we do require bonding on, as well as there are minimums that need to be met with your company insurance. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a quote that we always like to include when we're getting ready to talk about bidding. And I always ask our managing partner, Jason Keller, before I go on these sessions, to give me a peek under the tent. What's the latest information that you want to pass on to potential bidders from our latest bid packages that we're seeing? So I'll start here. Accurate bidding, detailed estimates. Contractor cannot compete without putting emphasis on the accuracy and the exactness of the estimates that you're providing in your bid proposal. And Mr. Keller tells me, it's just like when we tell students to read the textbook, to read the book. It is required when you're putting a bid in for Block, you need to make sure that you have read the specifications. Some contractors decide that they're just going to send in capabilities, or I would say a standard proposal or a standard list sheet. We require that you read the bid, read the specifications, and you bid based on the specifications that you're reading. And any questions about the specifications, and there are often changes to those specs, you get in touch with the estimator for your scope of work. Next slide, please. So let's talk about some of the bid challenges. Can't find bid packages to actually bid on. Unable to craft a winning proposal. You may bid on the wrong jobs, those that aren't a good match for your skill set. That could result in cost and schedule overruns. It's really important to review that bid. To review that bid package and to understand what scope of work you are the best qualified for. Sometimes when I am speaking on panels like this and we get to the Q&A and I talk to a contractor and they say they can do 4, 5, 6 things. And we caution you against that. When you fill out that subcontractor form, identify what you are most qualified for as it relates to multifamily construction. And I'll say that again. Identify what you're most qualified for. Not a laundry list. I can paint, I can do drywall, I can do plumbing, I can do electrical. We are in the specialty trade business. Block often does no self-performing work. So we are looking for specialty contractors that specialize and have multifamily experience in a specific trade. So you want to identify what that trade is in the bidding process and not list and go after multiple scopes of work. Some of the other bid challenges that we see: don't have time to bid, don't have time to prepare a compelling bid. I spoke earlier about sometimes at the last minute, folks just want to get their name on the list. So they just send in anything, basically. They send in capability statements and other types of marketing material. We counsel you against doing that. We want a full bid proposal on the project. Okay. Sometimes, folks may not have as much experience and they may lack confidence in the ability to create a proposal that grabs the attention and produces results. So in that case, the contractor might come to the decision to bid on something else or to bid on being a supplier on this job and getting in on the job and kind of understanding how things are coming together. And then they look forward to the next job to bid on that specialty trade. We'll go to the next slide. Okay. So in a bid review, looking for the lowest possible bid. Oftentimes these are public projects. So they're granted through the city of Houston or they're granted through Harris County. And we're talking about government contracts today, or we're getting HUD money. Oftentimes it's that money in addition to private funding. So a public-private partnership, looking for the lowest bid. Can also multiple bid on multiple specs. Looking for bonding. We're looking for your capacity. What has been your experience? What type of projects? What was the size of those projects that you worked on? And your experience in multifamily. We'll put a pin on that, in that there are some scopes of work within this space that we do require multifamily experience. But let's say if you're in cement does not require multifamily experience. An example of multifamily experience would be in painting, in electrical, in HVAC, in drywall. You need to have multifamily experience to bid on block projects. And we're analyzing the bid or reviewing the bid as a minority, women, and I'll add Section 3 there as well. Okay, so I'll pick up the pace. We'll go to the next slide. All right, here's a quick look at bid selection criteria. Often subcontractors want to know what are they being evaluated on and how they're going to be evaluated. Okay, so you can look at the items there. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. Now, it's important to point out that the general contractor is not the only one doing the evaluation. The subcontractors should be evaluating the general contractor as well, looking at what our prior building experience has been, looking at our size, looking at if it's a Galveston project, what will that commute be like? The budget, the funding, the crew. other subcontractors that they might work alongside, suppliers, the overall tone of the general contractor. These are some of the things that you consider as a potential sub that is submitting a bid. Next slide. All right. Now, when we're looking at your bidding checklist, or you're looking at your bidding checklist, you want to be sure that your estimate is clear, it's organized, alternate pricing required, that you are amenable to that. Breakdown of bid is required, that you've allowed for the amount of time to do the construction. You've allowed for the sequence of construction, okay? Change order procedure, payment schedule. You've reviewed all of that in the bid. Next slide, right? In addition to that, you're evaluating who you think your competition will be. What are their capabilities? What is their reputation? What's their need for work? So as you're putting your bid together, you're aware of others. And so you have identified and looked at it strategically. How can I present my bid in a competitive way? Next slide. Right? And your guide to bidding success with Block. Once you've bid, be available to discuss your proposal with Block. Be sure, goes without saying, but sometimes people forget to put their contact information on the bid. Be sure to adhere to all plans. We've said that several times during our talk this morning. Adhere to all plans, specifications, and addenda. Don't skip over it. Don't think that it's going to happen later on in the process. If your bid is not done according to the specs, we can't consider your bid. Look at the complete scope of work, inclusions, Davis-Bacon wage rates. Communicate with the Block support team. Be available, answering questions, responding to emails. And always remember that pricing confidentiality is key. We don't discuss pricing in bid tabs. Next slide. All right. I don't know if we're having Q&A. If you could go to the next slide. Okay, we just want to underscore that subcontractors are part of the Block family and that we build teamwork through trust. We are multifamily construction. We are interested in long-term successful relationships with our subcontractors. And we are always focused on delivering the best product for our client and or the owners of the project. Next slide. We want you to get a look at the Block team. This is a subcontractor support team. If you're ready to bid, you know that the lead estimator or the senior estimator, Adrienne Villarreal, is ready to take your phone calls and your emails. In the center there is our founder and managing partner. Top left, Director of Compliance, Amanda LeBlanc. Many times, if you've already bid on Block projects, you come in contact with the assistant estimator, Hen Ngo, and another lead estimator on Block projects is Adam Town, and myself. You can always reach out to me with any questions that you may have. I'm the Director of Marketing and Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Block. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you, East End Chamber, for allowing Block to participate in this important discussion this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deidre, and the Block companies for your sponsorship and all of that great information that she covered. I can personally attest is Block is everywhere, and they truly are committed to subcontractors and having them be a part of the Block team and helping them grow within the Houston construction community. So once again, thank you so much. Deidre will put her contact information in the chat. And as she said, that we will send this presentation as a part of the follow-up, as well as Block's subcontractor form. And summarizing everything that Deidre said is about opportunity, right? There are so many great opportunities available through the East End Chamber members, such as Cadence Bank, such as the block companies and Tellepsen. And there's 3 letters that come out of opportunity, and that's you, right? And so it's up to each and every one of you to take a hold of these opportunities, and you can get as big and grow your company as quickly and as fast as possible. What you can expect from us, from Susan and I, for the remainder of the session is this will be an engaging session. We will have tools for immediate implementation, and there will be time for you to put questions in the chat as we toggle back and forth and alternate. Whoever isn't speaking will be monitoring and responding to the chat. Susan has been super busy with that already. So please put your questions in. Participate and test drive your ideas, provide us feedback, and most importantly, we need to share and celebrate in each other's successes, whether they're small successes or large successes. Our agenda for the remainder of the session is we're going to talk about what a subcontractor is, go into some common components, and we're fortunate to have the block company's subcontractor package to help go through that, ways to win the work, as well as your path forward, right? Because it doesn't stop today. Here's a few things about Susan and what qualifies her to be speaking and talking on our topics today, as well as a few bullet points about me. And you can connect with us in all of our social media that Susan's putting in the chat. And Deidre said, grab your iPad, grab a piece of paper, and put together your action plan. She gave you great tips on how to bid, specifically with block. And so take a look at the way that you're currently bidding, and maybe you're going to work on that this week. Maybe it's next week, next month, or next quarter. But most importantly, have an action plan from today's session and how you are going to implement the information that you've gained within that to help grow your company, right? And so an overview of subcontractors. There's different relationships within this space. And so you've got a prime contractor and a subcontractor. And it looks very similar to this. And this is just a very basic example. You've got the prime, which could be block or Tellepsen, and you've got subcontractors. Like Deidre said, you've got your paint, your sheetrock, those types of things. And so here's an example: the general contractor or the project manager, painting and sheetrock, electrical, and HVAC, for example, on a project. But the difference, right? And so there's a couple main differences between the two. And the general contractor, the project manager, which is the prime, is ultimately responsible for the project's success. They are going to manage all of the subcontractors. They're the ones who are going to be sending the invoice to the agency, whether that's the Houston Housing Authority or the University of Houston or whomever that is. They have the insurance requirements. They are the primary point of contact, responsible for project updates, as well as doing all of the small business reporting. Subcontractors are responsible for their specific scope of work, right? And so focus on being a good subcontractor in this space and being a good subcontractor to the block group, to Manhattan, and to Tellepsen. And you're responsible for only your relevant insurance information. You invoice the prime, and it's important to be a good team player, right? Because once you start on a smaller project, then, and you've proven yourself, you'll continue to get more work and grow. And checks cash the same way, right? And so really build your past performance and know what you do well. Like Deidre said, if you're a good painter, then be a good painter and don't do all of these other things. And start out with the work that you know how to do, that you can deliver, and that you have the experienced crew to handle. This is going to be our first trade-off, and Susan's going to talk about ways to find prime contractors.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So let's talk about finding prime contractors. We do want you to sign up for our next panel discussion. I don't know where that slide's there, but okay, let's move with it. All right, first off, you need to be prepared. So you can find prime contractors in sort of different avenues. You can contact the hub coordinator of a local state agency and find out who's doing business with them. You can talk to the buyers at events, because when we go back to in-person events, attend a pre-proposal conference, find out who else is playing in that sandbox. Talk to other subcontractors. Who are they doing work with? Who pays them on time? Find out all of the information about these potential prime contractors. All of this leads to money. Subcontractors USA is a publication that covers a lot of the primes in the construction field. This is a great resource to read about up and coming primes and projects that are going on in the Houston area. There's information online. You can actually find a list of the hub coordinators for all of the state agencies. This is a great way to find out who's running some of these state agencies that you're interested in doing business with. Who's handling all their hub. Go online and look for opportunities. Julie's going to be dropping some of this information in the chat, so you can go in and look and see who's doing business with states. You can go on and look and see what opportunities the state has posted. When I checked on Tuesday, there was already 183 opportunities posted for June. So, and we're getting close to the end of their budget. It's going to start having a lot more opportunities posted. If you're looking to find out who's done business with a company that provides the same service as you, you can actually go on to this website and search past contracts. You just put your NIGP code at the bottom and it'll do a search and it'll tell you who has done business with companies. Here is a listing of all of those when I did a search. You can go through and you can actually click on those little arrows and you can find out all kinds of information, including how much they were paid. A lot of times it will list the company that won the contract. And even sometimes you can see the proposal that they submitted. All of that is open records with the state of Texas. We talked about attending a pre-bid, pre-conference, pre-submittal. Some of these are mandatory and some of these are non-mandatory. As a subcontractor, they're mandatory. You need to know who is going to be bidding on this job. You need to get their contact information. So we're seeing a few of these now, actual in-person subcontracting pre-bid meetings, but most of them are still online. Still participate. Put your contact information in the chat when they ask you to. Make sure you copy other people's information that they've put in the chat. Find out who is going to be bidding on a job that you want to bid on. We talked about the hub contractor contact list. Go ahead, send them an email, get to know them, have a discussion, let them know what you do, send them your capability statement. All right, so now we're going to go to the prime contractors request, and we're bringing up Tellepsen. Oh, just keep going. Okay. All right, prime contractors request. So sometimes you'll get an email or you see an opportunity that you want to do business with, let's say the block companies. So do you have your W-9? You have your certificate of insurance? Do you have copies of all your licenses and certifications where you can email that information out? Are you registered? Have you filled out the subcontracting form for that entity? If they're going after the city of Houston say a City of Houston project, are you registered as a vendor for the City of Houston? You're going to want a letter of intent if it moves to the next stage. Create your firm profile, which is a step up from your capability statement. Have all of the key personnel have their resumes ready, where all you're updating is specific projects that match the scope of the opportunity. Have some project sheets ready of past performance. If you have all of this put together in on your computer where you can quickly respond. If a prime contacts you, you want to respond within 12 hours if possible, so that they know you are ready and willing to do work. So Manhattan, so we're talking about filling out their subcontracting forms. Manhattan Trade Partners, their form is online. Julie's going to drop that in the chat. Go ahead and get registered. Find out the information that they're needing from you so that you're ready when that next Manhattan project hits the street. You can actually go to Manhattan's plan room and find out what they're bidding on. And the information is out there where you can go in and look to see what scopes they're going to be bidding. So we've pulled that up for you to kind of give you an idea of what they have. You can search it by city, what office is putting the bid out. So all of that information is available by just going to the Manhattan website. So it's there. You just need to take the initiative and go look and find out what's coming down the pipeline. All right, and so here we have the Tellepsen's subcontractor package, some samples of that. And then we're going to drop in the contact information for their estimating coordinator. So again, you go to the Tellepsen website. All of this information is there for you. And this gives you an idea of what additional information you need to pull together. And now we're going to have, Julie's going to come over here and switch screens, and Paul Bain with Tellepsen is going to talk.
We're super fortunate to have Paul and the team at Tellepsen share and go over their estimating information and give you some insight on how to be a subcontractor with Tellepsen. And Paul, I think you should be able to share your screen and let me know if you're good with that.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Julie. Can you hear me?
We're good. We can hear you perfect.
All right. Now we're going to take a second step and share our screen.
Wonderful.
There we go.
How are we doing so far?
You're doing great.
Great. Well, listen, Julie, thank you so much for asking Tellepsen to be a part of this incredible webinar series that you are doing. And a big thank you to Solomon, Deirdre, and Susan for all of the information that you provided in the last hour. You know, they say that as an owner, 80% of your time, talent, and energy should be spent selling work. And gosh, you guys have made it easy. Lena and I were talking earlier. We think we're going to go out and start a subcontractor business as well, because you've made it seem very, very real and very achievable. And I think it's an incredible resource. Listen, my name is Paul Bain. For those of you that don't know me, I am a lead estimator here at Tellepsen. I run pre-construction process for the various projects that I'm assigned. And I also have Lena DeLay here with me today. Lena is a risk specialist with Tellepsen, and she actually runs the pre-qualification process for us. So all of you who apply for pre-qualification with Tellepsen will at some point interact with Lena. And I thought it'd be best for you to hear pre-qualification information from her. So I'm grateful that she's joined me today. It is an exciting time to be forming a business, especially a certified business, historically underutilized, minority, small business, women-owned business. because state and federal resources are paying so much attention and leveraging their buying power to elevate these businesses and give great opportunity to you. And so there are funds, there are compliance requirements, there are projects and opportunities to put you out in front of the competition and be successful. And we think that's great. Tellepsen's been around Houston for 112 years. We're a fourth-generation-owned family general contractor in the Houston area. And with that great opportunity comes great responsibility. And it's an important purpose of Tellepsen to cultivate relationships with subcontractor partners over decades. And we look forward to every opportunity to leverage our many projects and many opportunities to find the right project for a start-out business and get your feet wet, give you small opportunities and then opportunities to grow beyond that, to give you great insight, information, and resources to be successful with Tellepsen and successful in the built environment in Houston, because as we elevate each other, the whole environment grows. And so we're very excited to be a part of this today. With that in mind, pre-qualification really is the key that unlocks the door to start with a prime contractor. All prime contractors in the city protect their subpool and protect their owners by pre-qualifying each subcontractor that it hires to ensure that you are set up for success, that you have the right financial capacity, the right matrix of projects, the right safety requirements to participate in that project and be successful with us. And so we've put a lot of time and energy into that process and into helping you comply with that process and setting you up for success. So I think it's very apt that we spend some time today hearing from Lena, not only about the process itself, which I understand you've been provided with that information, but really an inside look behind the curtain. Where do people get hung up in this process and fail? How do people succeed for those who succeed well? And to give you some insight and areas to focus on, because we know starting a business, you're inundated with the amount of items on your to-do list. And we think if we can help you focus on a few key items, then we can really propel you to success, and your success is our success. So let me turn it over to Lena. I'm going to move through the PowerPoint on her behalf, and we hope that you'll find this informative today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lena. Thanks for the introduction. That was really well done. So I took over pre-qualification about a year ago. So we're really trying to make it an easy process for our subcontractors. Julie has sent over a couple of questions, so I'm going to do my best to try to answer those. If you'll go to the next slide. So one of the questions that Julie had was, how does the process get started? So these are the ways that the process gets initiated. So it could be initiated from a client if they've got specific subcontractors they've worked with in the past. Historically, very special projects, say the Houston Zoo, they're going to have very small subcontractor pools because of their scope of work. So they might initiate, we want one of these subcontractors, and so that's when the pre-qualification process would start with them. Generally, estimators or the project team will reach out to me and ask, hey, can you please get these guys pre-qualified? They're on our GMP. We're ready to get them going. Or it can come from a subcontractor. On Tellepsen's website, there's a way to contact us to ask to pre-qualify or to get into the process of bidding with Tellepsen. So before subs can really bid on projects at Tellepsen, the pre-qualification is one of the first key elements that really comes into the picture. And then I reach out to the subs and try to get them on board with us. So normally it starts with sending out an email, regardless of if you have a company profile or not. I want to have your W-9. I want to have, any associates that are, related to your business that need to be involved in bidding processes or in pre-qualification, and also all your scopes of works, all your specifications. And then these are some of the certificates that we ask if you have them. So let me just break this down a little bit more. So having your scopes of work is really vital, because when estimators at Tellepsen initiate a bid process, they use that spec code to find the scopes of work that they need for that job. So it's really important that I try to get everything that you can do so that I can add it in there, and so hopefully we can get some bids out to you to bid work with Tellepsen. In terms of the specialty certifications, these are important too. If you've got these, please submit them in your pre-qualification. There's a spot in there to do that because this could be very owner-driven, especially with schools, universities. They're going to look for hub especially. So please try to, get me updated information because the estimators can search that way too. So can operations in our program, Smart Bid Net. So please try to get those over to us. So the pre-qualification process. So yes, like I had mentioned, we use Smart Bid Net here at Tellepsen. The primary things that we look at are your safety records, your OSHA logs, your EMR rating, your IRR, which I'll talk about later, and we review the financials. So we have a very highly educated matrix to put in your financial data, and that basically gives us a number for your single contract max and your aggregate max. And so that goes into our accounting system, and everybody at the company can look at that and see, okay, they're qualified for this amount, they're good to go to bid this job. I should have mentioned, safety is very, very vital at Tellepsen. We are very stringent on our safety program, so we really, would like to have all that information. So the path to pre-qualification, yes, I just mentioned, so we determine the contract limits, and that goes into the database. And then at that point, estimating knows that you guys are ready and that they can send you invitations to bid. So you've moved on to the next step. So one of the questions Julie had was, how does a sub stand out? Well, these are some examples. The safety record is going to be prime because we will grade your safety records based off of your logs, based off the data you provide us. That information gets graded. So, and whenever we do subcontracts here, that grade shows up on that initial report saying, okay, these guys are graded at an A, or we need a safety meeting prior to that sub working on the job because of maybe weak safety records. The OSHA 30 and the first aid certificate for your foremen and your superintendent are going to be some of the big things that they're going to look for. Like I said, we're very highly, sensitive about our safety records, and we want our subcontractors to be successful. And so these two big things are some of the things that we want you to have so that when you go out to the job site, that you got the tools that you need to perform well on site at Tellepsen. So we want the low EMR rating, preferably under 1. And then we also ask for the bonds letters. All this is to tell us what your bond company can provide you with a single bond limit and an aggregate limit. It is not necessarily saying we want you to bond. Tellepsen generally doesn't ask bonding, but our owners will. And sometimes if maybe the financials are weak, we could go into another mitigation, risk mitigation is what we call it, to provide a bond to us for a specific job. So that is a possibility. But for the purpose of pre-qualification, it is to show us what your limits are. And of course, strong financials is obviously one of the big things that we are going to look at. Do you have the capacity to perform work at Tellepsen successfully? We have a lot of jobs and, big jobs. And so we want our subcontractors to be successful so that you're getting paid on time and, that you are able to provide Tellepsen with the manpower that we need to perform our work for our clients. These are some of the common mistakes. So last year I updated our pre-qualification to make it a little bit more simpler. So we require the last 3 years of your OSHA logs and your EMR rating. And next to that, we also ask that you provide us with your actual documents. So we want to see your 2018, 2019, and 2020, for example, for this year's renewal. We want to see the actual documents of your EMR ratings as well as your OSHA logs. So oftentimes we get 1 year, they'll put in 2020 because it allows you to provide one PDF. Just combine those PDFs, put it in there, and we're good to go. And then the required fields. So sometimes we get the NAs or the zeros or it's blank. Well, we're going to go back to you and ask, okay, why is this left blank? Please provide an explanation. And that just delays the whole process. I mean, before, if you just filled out the information correctly the first time, we can get it processed, we can get that over to estimating, and it's good to go. But the longer it takes for us to back and forth to get the documents that we need, the longer the process is going to take for you guys to start bidding. And then miscalculations of the RIR is very common. So there's actually a formula, and I think you might have had it. It's your year times 200,000 divided by your man hours. So that's the calculation to add in your RIR rating. This is something that we're going to look at in terms of pre-qualifying you and the safety side of Tellepsen. And looking at the questions here that Julie provided, and I think we have established all responses. So I will turn it back over to Paul, and thank you very much for your time.
Lena, thank you. We're really fortunate to have Lena and her applying her talents to our pre-qualification process to make it easier for you. You know, Lena, I've heard the metaphor used before that if you need money and you walk up to an ATM machine and you say, "Give me my money," the money won't come out. You have to know how to have the card, insert the PIN, work the process in order to get your money out. And pre-qualification is really no different. These terms that Lena's provided, RIR, EMR, 3 years worth of financials, safety record, etc. These are things that we want you to learn about and know backwards and forwards and come and talk to us about because they really are the barriers to entry with a prime contractor. But having said that, I think it's important to highlight, Lena, you in the pre-qualification process and Tellepsen in the pre-construction process as a whole, we want to see you succeed, and we want to partner with you as you work your way through this information. I see a couple of questions come through the chat. How do I get started if I don't have any experience? Well, we have a huge number of opportunities, and I think we can find the right one to help you get started. We can help you process through this information. We can work out risk mitigation strategies as you get started with projects under 100,000 to help you move forward. We truly want to partner with you. We're not interested in saying, "No, I'm sorry, you don't have the requisite experience, and go find that and come back." We want to be your advocate. We want to be your partner. So we'll provide contact information. You have our coordinator's information that's been provided. You have my information. And come and talk to us, and let's find the right opportunity. We want to see you grow from where you are now to a successful subcontractor in the Houston area, doing business with many of the prime contractors. So thank you for your time today, Julie. Thank you.
I think Tino might have a question on the calculations of the RIR. If you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and quickly address that.
Yeah.
Okay, so on our pre-qualification, it's going to be your RIR rating per year. So what you do is you take that year calculation, multiply that response by 200,000, and then you divide that by your man hours for that year.
Perfect. And then Lainey, if you could also kind of put that in the chat so everyone, when they're done, can download the chat and then have that specific formula to reference to, that would be super appreciative.
I think we just did, so I hope.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
Great.
Susan's monitoring the chat. Sorry. Great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Paul and Lena. And we've got Mercedes's information and Lena's information and Paul. And just like the block group, Tellepsen is a member of the Eastern Chamber and is dedicated not only in their time, but their commitment to help y'all grow. So please take advantage of these opportunities that you have and these resources that are available to you. And thanks again for y'all's time and joining us today. As a subcontractor, the tool that is the ticket to helping you communicate your company's resume and introducing yourselves to primes is your capability statement. This is a way that you can communicate your company to your business partners, your stakeholders, your suppliers. And the one thing that I love about capability statements, it helps you focus and understand your business. It helps you refine your message. And it is also the one sheet, the one tool that helps you put your business strategy, your business plan, and your business services all in one concise and compelling document. And we're going to spend some time going over the components of a capability statement. And there are 5 primary components to it: a company identity, your services, your operations, why your company, as well as your experience. And because everyone is here at the East End event, Susan and I are offering a $50 off coupon to help you get your capability statement ready, whether that's this week, next week, or anytime later this year. So your identity, you've got to be able to talk about your company's identity, and you need a DUNS number. And Susan's going to put that in the chat, and you do not have to pay for a DUNS number. So if they try to sell you one, it's not necessary. And you need to make sure to put the DUNS number on your capability statement. And here's an example of Honesty Construction's group, their before and their after capability statement. And look right there, he's got his EMR rating on his capability statement, as well as his lost time incidences. In addition to your company's information, you need your DUNS number, as well as the certifications. And Deidre and both Paul and Lena talked about the importance that your certifications are to them, and how they are the key to opening up this door. And if you weren't a part of last week's session, we talked about all sorts of ways to maximizing your certification. And you can revisit the East End Chamber's website within the next week or so, and the entire video from that session and all of these sessions will be available on their website. Services, you need to know what services you provide. What is your crew size? What are you capable of providing? And don't overpromise and underdeliver, right? This is your chance to prove exactly what you can do, and you do well. So make sure that on your capability statement that you summarize your services, as well as you communicate them as far as in your NIGP codes and your NAICS codes, right? And Susan is putting in places to find your NIGP code, as well as your NAICS codes there. So those are some examples on some construction related capability statements on how they communicate their services, as well as their codes, right? So this is where you would go for the search. We'll also include a spreadsheet that's super easy, a little bit easier than the website, for you to find your codes. So there's the NAICS code, as well as the NIGP code as well. Industries. Block is very multifamily specific, and that they do an amazing job at that. So if you are in the multifamily industry, then definitely communicate that on your capability statement. If you specialize in education, communicate that as well. So here's an example of an architectural firm's capability statement in all of the different education entities that they've worked with, K through 12, as well as higher ed. And Block Group, as well as Tellepsen, has their industries listed on their website. So if you do work in those industries, make sure to communicate that to them and on your capability statements. Where are you located? Your company's operations are critical. Maybe you're just here in Houston right now, or maybe you just work in a certain area of Houston, or maybe you do Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas. Let them know that as well on your capability statements, and talk about your geographic reach. But once again, don't overpromise. If you cannot accurately price to do a job in Dallas, then don't say you can do work in Dallas. If you can accurately price and bid a project here in Houston, then that's okay. Just keep work in Houston until you're ready to scale accordingly. All righty, why you? You've got to be able to communicate why you. Why are you better than the competition? What do you do really, really, really well, right? And what is your passion? And this is also a great opportunity to communicate why you are doing your business, right? So your value proposition is important and critical on your capability statement, right? And this is another way for you to do that. So how do you start with the value proposition? Well, it's a clear understanding of exactly what you do, right? And what is the benefit that your customers get by doing work with each and every one of you? What are the advantages that you do over and above and beyond than maybe somebody else? So here's a couple of questions to kind of help you craft your value proposition instead of just starting with a blank piece of paper. Maybe ask yourself or call up one of your customers, right? Or email them and say, what is the one thing that happily surprises you about my business, right? And then they can respond, right? When they hire you, they get blank, right? And another one that I really, really like is that my company goes above and beyond when it comes to, maybe that comes to communication, maybe that comes to safety, maybe that goes to project management, those types of things. So really spend some time in thinking about the value that your company can offer these prime contractors, all righty? Insurance, both of our guests talked about insurance, and that all comes down to risk mitigation, and know what insurance coverage is important and required as a subcontractor. References, you need to have at least 3 references. They're going to be asked for on the subcontractor forms that you're going to need to fill out, as well as you need to put them on your capability statement, all right? So make sure that you have 3 references of people that would work with you again, and make sure that those references know that you have them listed. Don't have any surprises. Experience, right? How do you communicate your experience? Well, you can do that in a couple different visual elements. You can put the logos of people that you've worked with once you have their permission. You can also communicate it by the numbers. And this is great because this is Wilson Unlimited. He's a small contractor and he just started last year. So this is his specific past experience, right? Because he's the owner and he is doing the work. So if you're just starting out and maybe you've got all of these years of experience, make sure that in your capability statement, you are communicating it, that it is the owner's experience or the project manager's personal experience. But once again, if you have any OSHA certifications, make sure to communicate that information in your capability statements. People are going to go from your capability statements to your LinkedIn and your social media. So make sure that that is also updated with current information. All righty, and once again, we've got the coupon that we're offering to everyone to have us help you with your capability statements. And Susan's going to come now and talk a little bit more about the importance of risk mitigation.
We talked a little bit about the insurance. Each one of the block companies and Tellepsen talked about insurance. You need to ensure the company that you're doing work with that you are covered in case of any incidents. So if you can go through an RFP, you can go through Manhattan and look at what opportunities are coming down the pipeline. What insurance are you going to be required to have? You can go ahead and have that conversation with your insurance company. So maybe you don't need to get it right now, but you need to know that you can get it. And have that conversation about how much additional cost will that be to you. So as you're putting in your numbers and you're calculating out and you got that pencil sharpened, are you going to need to purchase additional insurance, and how much will that cost? So here are just some different types of insurance. We have the general liability, the automobile, umbrella, workers' comp, for the professional industry, professional liability, or E&O, errors and omission. And one that we have seen coming up on a few RFPs and RFQs is cyber liability. If you're collecting any data or storing any data from your client on your server, what type of insurance do you have to kind of cover that in case you're hacked? And also, what bonding requirements? Start those conversations again. It's things that you need to have before you need to have them. And I always forget. All right. So another item that you can have ready to go is, well, if you're going to be on a team, what do you need to do to prepare yourself and your company to submit information? First off, you need to read that full RFP, IFB, RFQ in its entirety. So get that information. What are we bidding on? Download all of the documents, read them, then reread them. I don't know, let's just read them one more time. This is active reading. Get a highlighter, get a pen, mark where you need to do, some flags on the side. So get a couple of different colors of highlighters. Well, let's do 3. If it has anything to do with money, then highlight that in green because that's going to impact your pricing. If you have questions that you need answered, mark that in orange. And then if there's anything that you specifically need to do, highlight that in yellow, or can another team member do that and maybe have them a 4th color? So focus while you're reading this. Time block. Put your appointment on your calendar. Do not disturb on your door. Read this. Get all of your information together. Now, Julie likes to listen to a playlist when she's reading an RFQ or RFP. Personally, I like silence. So decide what is the best way for you to read and retain that information. Look at the evaluation criteria. This is how the prime will be scored. How can you help them get that higher score? So you play a role in maximizing those points. So here is sort of pulled out the past performance. Can you supply a project sheet? What on the scope that you're doing, provide the methodology and the approach that you will be taking to finish your scope. And then as well as, add your pricing, and then you play a part as a certified company. So here's a sample of a project team. So when the prime submits their project team, your information is on that org chart. So as we're talking about the team, let's talk about the people that make up the team. So you supply your company information, but you also need to supply the information on the person or people that will be working on the project. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my friend, Joe. Joe is the vice president of the company that he works for. That is not his role on a particular project. So he can be the project manager. He can be the civil engineer. So he has different roles per project. But what stays the same is all of his education, his industry involvement. So as you set up a resume, you can have all of that information normally stays the same with a few minor changes. But what does change is the list of projects that we have on the resume, because you want those projects to match the scope on that RFP that you just spent all of that time reading. So what projects has Joe done that match that scope? So here we have a different Joe. Now Joe is doing some road work. So this is his TxDOT Joe, and we have a list of all of the or a few of his projects that he has done that deal with roads. And here we have sidewalk ADA design, Joe. And then our last is the K through 12, Joe. So it's still Joe, but he's done different work on different projects. Have that individual update their LinkedIn. That's one of the things that we've been going through, going, okay, we're going to submit your information as part of this proposal. Make sure that if the evaluator visits their LinkedIn, it matches. All right, so Julie is going to come back and she's going to talk about pricing.
And it's wonderful that Deidre opened this session with us with the block group regarding bidding tips. And as we conclude our session and our time today, we're going to talk about different pricing models, because it is so critical that when you're submitting your bid, you understand exactly what you're pricing against. And so there's a couple different pricing models, and you need to make sure that you are responding and your pricing into the bid with the correct pricing model, right? So there's fixed price, there's cost, there's lump sum, time and materials, unit pricing, as well as milestone pricing. And so when you are reviewing the bid, you need to pay special attention to the types of pricing that it's asking for. And if you have any questions at all, please make sure to ask questions, right? And so there are 4 common types of pricing in different construction contracts. So those are the 4 most common. There's a bunch of them. So really make sure to look at the opportunity, and back to what Susan was talking about, is you really need to read it, right? And pay close attention and focused reading, because when you're asking a question to a prime, you want to make sure that you've done the homework, right? And so know that all of the details that they're asking you to price, and then ask them if you have questions, because you want to make sure that you ask the question before you submit it, right? Because Lena talked about the back and forth and back and forth. And if you can eliminate the amount of times that files are sent back and forth, then that can definitely help streamline you through the process. And make sure to sharpen your pencil, right? So how do you know what exactly you need to price and what you're going to do? Well, you look at the bid packet and you look at maybe the RFP or the opportunity, and it tells you exactly there the roles and responsibilities. It might say scope of work, it might say project description and scope. So those are some similar types of words that you can do a search for. And when you are looking to see what you're going to bid and what scope you are qualified to help out with, maybe look at your crew size, look at your labor, look at your materials, look at your overall schedule and see when a project starts and when it ends, and make sure that you have not only the capability, but the capacity to fully support every single project. Then also look and see, how is this scope of work similar to the projects that you have done in the past? And I just want to reiterate that this is not the opportunity to overpromise and underdeliver. This is your opportunity to shine and be a solid subcontractor, so you can build this relationship with these primes and continue to grow your company. Here's another example, and these are pages exactly from opportunities. And here, this one, it says that it's called scope of services. So in closing, we're getting ready to wrap up and then open it for open question and answer. We have a survey that we'd like for you to complete. Let us know what you thought about today's session. And that's how this whole entire series came about, as well as additional series and sessions from the East End Chamber. So please take some time before you get back into the busyness of your day to complete the survey. And in summary, you've got to have actions that will contribute to your success. Deidre said, pull out your iPad, pull out a piece of paper, start taking notes. Paul and Lena talked about that as well. Here are the things that we need you to do. So schedule it out. And how does everything look in your overall business plan and your overall business strategy from today in June and maybe the rest of the year? So Grow your business through subcontracting opportunities. We live in one of the best cities in the United States right now for growth and construction. Make sure that you understand the scopes of work that you are bidding on. If you have questions, ask questions. And in preparation for next week's panel, maybe start thinking about some additional questions that you might want to ask. All righty, make sure to sign up for next week's panel. If you're not already a member of the Easton Chamber of Commerce, we strongly encourage you to do that. Today's session will be posted on the Chamber website, as well as the other sessions that we had that started back in May. Get your documents organized, right? Deidre mentioned the types of things that they need in addition to when you send over your subcontracting form. Manhattan has the things that you need that's listed on their website. And Paul and Lena with Tellepsen said all of the additional things that they need as well. Get a folder in your computer, maybe a Google OneDrive or whatever works best for you, and have all of that information ready. If you haven't already figured it out, about 60% of it is the same. So when somebody asks for it, you can respond quickly, right? Complete your pre-qualification packages with the 3 primes that we've talked about today. Review and gather information for your capability statement. If you don't have a capability statement, I highly, highly encourage you to get one and use that to market your company. Susan talked about your resume and your past performance and showed you examples of how when the prime sends in their bids and their submissions, how you are critical to them from the beginning of the project all the way to project completion, how you help support that overall team. And you are extremely, extremely important to a project's success. We're here to continue and support your success. And on our social media, please connect with us. And we put information about upcoming seminars and sessions, as well as additional opportunities for small businesses. Susan and I are huge advocates, not only for your business, but for every small business in Houston. And we want to do whatever we can to make that possible. We've got some 10 reasons why you should join the East End Chamber, and they're listed there. Please put your information in the chat if you would like Savannah to follow up with you about chamber membership. And last and not least, before we open it up for question and answer, an additional expression of gratitude and appreciation to Cadence Bank, our series sponsor for all 4 of these sessions, and their generous time. Please reach out to Solomon and get your line of credit in order, get your finances in order, because you need it now and not later. Another just appreciation to Deidre, her time and all of the information that she has shared with the block companies and how to bid for them and the opportunities that they have available and what they're looking for in the Houston area. And Paul and Lena with Tellepsen as well. Another subtle plug for the panel discussion on the 13th. And we are now going to open it up for time in the chat for some additional questions and answers. If you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand, and then Savannah can unmute you.
Yolanda Lawson has, right.
So Yolanda wants to chat or ask a question.
Yes, good day.
Great.
Thank you all for the great presentation to all of you. I have a transportation company. I wanted to know if any of the construction companies actually utilize any dump trucks or need any type of hauling, or how would I find out that information as far as what my company or how my company could assist in?
That's a great question. Deidre or Paul? Would you like to?
I would just answer that it's always based on what the scope of work. So when our next bid announcement comes out, you'll want to review the scope of work very closely. And if the bid calls for trucking services, it will be stated in the bid.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it's a case by case basis, but I get all of your subcontractor qualifications and everything already sent to block companies. So when that opportunity arises, everything is all set up and ready to go. Another question.
Nancy Jordan. Oh.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies. My question is, do you encourage two smaller subcontractors to put their resumes together on a JV?
That's a great question. I think it is on a case by case basis, but in the based on my experience, we have found that each subcontractor representing themselves and doing a clear, defined scope of work is the preferred route.
Great, thank you so much.
Does anyone else want to comment or add?
I would agree. You have to ask whether or not the collaboration is increasing your skill set or what you are offering as a specialty trade or as a supplier, that the two coming together builds something even better. Oftentimes it's a less experienced sub combining with a more experienced sub. So you're trying to get started in painting and you find a painter, a prime that wants to take you on and pair out, a scope or two, an aspect of the scope of work for you to complete. That's often, what the scenario could be, but it is a case by case basis.
So ideally, it should be a complementary JV.
Yes,
versus, ma'am. Okay, perfect.
Yes, ma'am, you said it much better. You all should
Thank
complement, and the two coming together should make, more than, being separate.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Got a captive audience of amazing resources with the Block Group and Tellepsen. So please, I don't want to have y'all lose this opportunity to either ask questions to them or to us. Got two hands that are raised.
Nancy's already had hers.
Okay.
Sunshine.
Sunshine, Maribel?
Yes, good morning. Can y'all hear me?
We can. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was very informative information. And of course, we all want to be a part of these projects that are happening in Houston. We thank you, Houston East Chamber, for letting us be a part of these, and also Camden's Bank, who's always supporting small businesses. But I did post my information on the chat. I have a staffing company, and I'm here to be able to help anyone with personnel. And I look forward to connecting with everyone who's on this webinar today.
Great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All righty. I think we're going to have a wrap, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
I just want to say thank you to East End Chamber for including Block companies again. It was a treat to sponsor and to participate in this series, and it was very, very well done. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and we appreciate everything that y'all do, and we look forward to hopefully seeing everyone on June 17th.